I'm Professor Mark Bryans of the American Combato system, Jendo Dao, the Steiner system. With me today is my student Ken Horvath, who is a black belt candidate, will soon be black belt, one of the best students I've ever trained, and I'm happy to have you here today. Thank you, Ken.
Great to be here.
Today we're going to cover the counterattack, the rear bear hug under the arms. And of course, if you've been following along on what we've been doing, we have really screwed up if we were starting our defense being grabbed from the back by somebody. Our chances of success are not good. So we shouldn't have gotten ourselves into this circumstance. We should have been aware, seen the approach of the guy, gone to relax ready, and not let him behind us. But of course that hasn't happened. The over the arm bear hug versus the under the arm is kind of interesting that when he's over your arms, you're trapped, almost seems completely, but you're not. But you've got these splints over you. When Ken grabs me over the arms and starts to crush, it's going to be an issue. But when he grabs me under the arms and does that, he'll break my back and everything else. So I've got the circumstance where, well, my hands are free, but at the same time, the grip is extremely dangerous. Nobody's going to apply a bear hug hold nicely or lightly. So here our arms are free, but we're going to be really vulnerable to having the wind knocked out of us. And I don't know if you've ever been there in a fight, Ken, but I have. We had the wind knocked out of you, and that's it. You're done. There's nothing left. So, and oftentimes too, if I use Ken, if he faces as the defender, often a bear hug over and bam, it almost slams you in the solar plexus when you get hit, and people don't take that into account. Okay, he's grabbed us under the arms from the back. Our concern is coming up off the ground. So we're going to drop our weight and shoot our hips back into him and start attacking with headbutts and back kicks into him. Same way we deal with the over the arm bear hug from the rear. In the initial phase, it's no different. And if you practice nothing else but dropping your weight, driving your hips back into the guy, butting and stomping into his feet repeatedly, you really got what you need to defend yourself and really got good at it. It's kind of like the concept of you take your white belt techniques until that white belt is black, and you'll be an expert on just these simple things that you're able to do. So don't get into what's the next move and what's the next, and of course we need to do that, but really put your focus on making everything you do count and end it right there. Okay, here's where it goes next. Ken's grabbing, I think we'll face the camera, Ken. Under the arms, I dropped and all that, headbutted and kicked. Now I'm going to spin and deliver an elbow back to his face one direction and back the other direction. When delivering those back elbows, try to rotate your body completely into the blow. Ken, let's see you do those with the back to the camera, with your back to it. So they see what, he would throw an elbow. One, yeah, very good. He turns and smashes one way and then the other way. And clearly we're trying to land these elbows and end it. And if Ken grabs me again and we could see, let's turn maybe like this, boy, if that does land. Notice something else, you shorter men and women. I'm short stature, and what if the guy's really tall? Well, notice what he's got to do to grab me under the arms. He's got to come down like Ken does, and when he grabs me, I know right where his head is. It's right there. So this will, actually if your attacker was much shorter, it might be a little issue, but I don't think so. I think I'm going to get drilled by him. But you might think if you're shorter, you're not going to be able to do this, and actually it's really set up well for you. One of the things happening besides trying to land these elbows into this guy's jaw and knock him out and be done with him, is to try to start spinning in the grip and start loosening yourself in the grip. See, if Ken grabs me, and he's going to carefully kind of ramp up the tension. I want you to make it tight enough that I can't turn. And I think I'm going to elbow. How am I going to elbow him? I can't even turn. There's got to be some loosening of the grip in order to apply these elbows. So don't think, well, his hands are under mine. He's open for elbows every time. But if the grip's tight, you're not going to do anything. You're not going to elbow him anyway. You can back kick him. But we hopefully soften him up. We head one way, we head the other way. Throw as many elbows as you need to do. Here's how this thing is going to finish. I'm going to start and demonstrate against Ken, but I'm going to let him demonstrate it at the end because, frankly, Ken is stronger than me. He can do the technique a little better than I can do it. He can do it a lot better than I can do it. So I'm going to have him show the finish because we're going to be able to flesh out some little details. This throw we're about to do at the end here, it's one of several throws you see right at the beginning level at Combato. And the throw is extremely dangerous. It's not hard to do it, and you cannot practice it full out. You can't dump somebody. You'll see what I mean, and you might think, well, if you can't practice it, how could you ever do it? Believe me, you can practice it far enough. The throw is not complicated. Throws in combat are simple. If you know more extravagant throws, it's fine. Go ahead and lace them in if you like them. I wouldn't argue with you about that. We'll talk more about that in the future. But we'd love to use gravity to help us and dump him right on his head. So here's what's going to happen. He's grabbed. I dropped the weight, of course, trying to stabilize so it didn't get me up. Headbutt, I start attacking the shins and feet. I'm going to elbow one direction. I'm going to elbow another direction. Now, if I feel I've gotten into the right position, which I am now, to do this, I'm going to step behind him, and I'm going to get that knee and the hip really solid. I'm going to let the other foot follow behind, and I'm starting to create a fulcrum point with my leg. From here, I'm going to chop him in the testicles, and I'm going to grab him by his testicles. And then I'm going to push the elbow into the body, drive him over the leg, and hook him here. And literally, like a teeter-totter, here's the fulcrum point of the teeter-totter. We push him on the high side, and we pull him on the low side, and pile drive him right onto his head. So if you're thinking if you have enough mats you can do this throw, you cannot. When this guy hits the ground, his head is going to hyperflex. So even though when he hits the ground, and if you did it in practice, the softness wouldn't bash his head, you'll break his neck. You cannot do this throw full out. You don't need to. Let me show you. Ken, let's see if we work this out. Because it's hard to do what he's about to do. He's going to balance me on his leg like would be with a teeter-totter. And I want you to understand, you don't need to do this. If you were small and the attacker were a lot bigger, I would admit, I don't think I want you to try and throw him like this. He might just get on your leg and dump you. But you might be surprised. Let's say you're a 110-pound woman. You might be surprised. You could probably take a 150-pound guy and put him right on his head real quick. Maybe he's 250 pounds. I don't think I want you to try and throw him like this. Boy, it'll work all day long for me against Ken and vice versa. I have no problem throwing Ken this way. I just can't do it slow like he is going to try and demonstrate here. He's going to run through the whole thing. He drops his weight, right? Slams up, starts kicking. He elbows one way, he elbows the other way, and he goes behind. He's created the foot, he chops. Now, this is what ends up happening. Look at that. And down he goes. Now, another point about that. If the guy had a super tight grip, let's change roles again, Ken. I'm going to just get to that point. I threw an elbow one way, I threw it the other way, and I was able to sink in the hook, and he tightens that grip real tight. Oh, I don't want to throw him now. I got a good position with him. Now, I think I'm going to start elbowing him, chopping his testicles, see if he wants to hang on. But normally, when you get to that point, of course, you realize he's losing his grip. He's hurt. I just smashed him in the testicles. And you pick him up and drive him back.